To lead today's webinar, we are joined by two of Merkle's industry experts, Mark Ballard, Vice President of Research, and Andy Taylor, Associate Director of Research. And Mark, I'll hand it over to you to start today's webinar.
Great. Thanks, Marie, and thanks everyone on the line for joining us today. We're here to talk about the Q1 2018 Digital Marketing Report from Merkle. Just a little background on the report. We've been putting this out quarterly for the last 6 years, and for most of the metrics that we're looking at same site data so that it's not impacted from new clients coming on board to our program. And we do eliminate some outlier data so that it doesn't skew the overall trends for us. We really aim for this to be a benchmark report to provide a sense of what is typical for advertisers to see when they're running a well-managed program for any one of these channels. So getting into some of the numbers, we'll start with Google paid search. Starting with some of the high-level trends here, looking at ad spend. We did see a slight deceleration from Q4 growth levels down to 20% spending growth for the typical program. It has been interesting, though, in the key drivers here, looking at CPC and click growth. In the last couple of quarters, we've seen CPC growth really spike while click growth has slowed down considerably. And we'll dive into some of the drivers behind that in a little bit. But again, kind of looking at some of the higher level metrics first. When we look at ad formats, the two key ones being Google Shopping and text ads, we did see an acceleration in growth for PLAs, up to 40% spending growth year over year, and that was offset, though, by a slowdown in growth for text ads. It does appear that PLAs were cannibalizing text ad at a renewed rate in Q1, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Looking at device, we can see phone at the top still growing quite a bit faster than other devices, but that growth has slowed over time as phones have become the majority of traffic for Google, but still seeing 33% spending growth there. The single biggest piece, though, in terms of spend is still desktop because of the CPC differential with phones there. And we have seen some slowdown there in spending growth, down from a high in Q3, now down to 20%. One of the key drivers there, we were seeing pretty low growth in mid-2017, or mid-2016, but Google gave advertisers the ability to segment desktop from tablet bids in late 2017. So that was a real big driver of desktop spending growth, but now some of those benefits are wearing off, at least in terms of the year-over-year growth numbers. So that was a big factor in why we saw that overall deceleration in spending growth for Google.